If you have ever lived like this, busy all day and still unable to say what you truly lived inside that day, answering messages, taking meetings, crossing things off lists, and doing enough to look productive, while ending the night with a strange emptiness, then do not be too quick to call that effort. A lot of people are not lazy. A lot of people are trapped inside one very expensive illusion. The illusion is this: if I stay busy, then I must not be wasting my life. When Jonah was 37, he began to doubt that illusion for the first time. He worked at a fast-growing tech company. The position was good, the salary was good, the tools were excellent. He had the kind of setup that looked advanced from the outside. Artificial intelligence helped him sort information. His calendar cut the day into neat blocks. His systems organized his tasks. His noise-canceling headphones shut out the world. From a distance, he looked like someone living at the front edge of efficiency, but Jonah knew something else. The more advanced the tools became, the more he felt like a machine being raised by machines. Every morning began with the phone. Not because the first thing waiting for him was truly important, but because he had forgotten how to begin a day without first receiving something. Then came meetings, emails, messages, updates, tasks, requests. At lunch, he was not really eating. He was chewing while scrolling. In the afternoon, one task became 5 interruptions. At night, his mind kept running the open tabs he had never fully closed. And at the end of the day, he would look at the list of completed items and tell himself, "At least I was productive." But over time, that sentence began to sound less like truth and more like a sedative. One night, he sat alone in his living room, with the laptop still open in front of him. 3 windows were still active on the screen. His phone kept vibrating beside him, like a tail that refused to die. He was exhausted, but he did not want to sleep, because the moment he stopped, a strange blankness rose up inside him. That night, he remembered something from childhood. A summer used to feel endless. Now a whole year could disappear, like paper sliding through a machine. For the first time, he thought something very clearly. I am not living too little. I am repeating too much. A few days later, he went to see an old friend. The man's name was Dorian. He had once been known as a high-efficiency type 2, fast mind, fast decisions, always moving. But over the last few years, he had changed in a way Jonah could not fully explain. He was not lazy. He had not given up. He had simply become loose in a way that looked stronger than tension. They met by the sea. The evening wind was strong. The sky was gray-blue. Dorian arrived on an old bicycle, leaned it against a railing, and looked at Jonah for 1 second before asking, "Have you been busy lately?" Jonah gave a tired smile and said, "Busy enough to stop feeling anything." Dorian did not comfort him. He looked out at the water and said, "Then you probably have not really lived through a full day in a long time." That sentence stayed in the air between them, because Jonah knew it was true. They walked along the shore. After a while, Dorian asked him a simple question. "What is the first truly important thing in your day?" Jonah took a long time to answer. He did a lot of things every day, but if he had to name the one thing that made the day worth living, the one thing that would mean the day had not been wasted, he could not say it clearly. Dorian smiled a little. "That is the problem. You are not without tasks. You are without a big stone." Jonah asked what that meant. Dorian did not answer immediately. He led him toward an old storage building near the shore. Outside were piles of construction material, bags of sand, a few large stones, and an empty bucket. Dorian pointed at the bucket. "If you fill it with sand first, then pour in water, and only afterward try to place a large stone inside. The stone will not fit." Life works the same way. The most important things are usually the heaviest. They are often difficult, often slow, often frightening. So most people begin with the small things, the light things, the things that create immediate reaction. Messages, email, formatting, tiny requests, the endless maintenance that gives the illusion of movement. By the end of the day, the bucket is full, and the big stone never entered. Jonah felt exposed because he knew that was exactly how he lived. It was not that he did not know what mattered. He knew the proposal he should have started, the work that could actually change direction, the decision he needed to sit with in silence. But he always began with the lighter things, the things that let him say, "At least I was not idle." Dorian looked at him and said, "Busyness is the most expensive anesthetic of this age. You do 10 light things, so you do not have to face the one heavy thing." That night, Jonah went home, and for the first time did not open his task list. He wrote down only one sentence: "If I could do only one thing today, and finishing it would mean this day was not wasted, what would it be?" He stared at the sentence for a long time, because the question was much harder than anything on his usual list. You cannot hide inside it. You cannot scatter it. You cannot trick it by doing 5 smaller things around it. It forces you to admit that most days are truly shaped by 1 or 2 things at most. Everything else is sand. The next morning, he gave himself 90 minutes. Not 90 minutes for everything. 90 minutes for the stone. No phone, no email, no messages. The world could wait outside. That block of time was small, but it was his. At first it was miserable, not because the work itself was so terrible, because his mind had been trained to live in fragments. After 3 minutes, he wanted the phone. After 5 minutes, he remembered an email. After 10 minutes, he started wondering whether this kind of focus would make him seem difficult or unavailable. But after several days, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Not ease, wholeness. Like his mind had finally been placed back on a single track. Later, Dorian taught him the second thing. Do not live your life in parallel. Jonah did not understand at first. Dorian said, most people are anxious because they are trying to live 5 lives at once. They want the business, the body, the travel, the mastery, the social life, the art, the calm, the adventure, and they want all of it now. But human energy does not work like that. You can do many things. You just cannot make everything your highest priority at the same time. Life must be serial, not parallel, Dorian said. You can spend 5 years building one serious thing, then 3 years learning something else. You can root first and branch later. But if you chase 5 rabbits at once, you do not become impressive. You become scattered. Jonah heard that deeply. He had always believed his anxiety came from not moving fast enough. Now he saw that much of it came from trying to move in too many directions at once. Then came the third thing. Time feels faster, not only because you are older. It feels faster because you are making fewer new memories. At first, Jonah thought that was a beautiful line. Then Dorian asked him a question. What are the 3 clearest afternoons you remember from last month? Jonah could not answer, because most of the afternoons had looked almost identical. The same desk, the same windows, the same tabs, the same interruptions, the same tiredness. His brain had folded them all into one repeated day. When you were a child, summer felt long, because each day was growing something new. Dorian said, now your life is too much like copy and paste, so time gets compressed. After that, Jonah started keeping a small list, not a to-do list, an adventure list. Take a different route home, eat alone somewhere new, sit by the sea for 15 minutes, watch a snail move, walk in the rain for a few minutes without hiding. Do one thing with no output, but with memory inside it. All of it looked small, but once he started doing it, something changed. The days became thicker, not more dramatic, more inhabited. Then came the fourth thing. One day Dorian took him on a ride toward the hills. The wind was good, the light was beautiful. But Jonah noticed that Dorian rode slowly. Slowly enough that Jonah wanted to say, you could go faster. When they got off the bicycles, Dorian smiled as if he had read the thought. You think this is inefficient, do you not? Jonah laughed. Dorian said that he used to push everything too hard too. Cycling, working, thinking, living, everything was full force. Then one day he realized that much of what he had called intensity was simply addiction to tension. If I arrive 2 minutes faster, but spend the whole ride fighting the wind, what exactly did I win? Jonah kept thinking about that for days. He had always assumed that powerful people were intense, but the truly strong ones often seemed surprisingly light, not careless, precise. They knew what deserved effort and what did not. Focused but not tight, committed but not self-punishing. That was a higher kind of skill than force. Months later, Jonah's life had not turned into a fantasy. He still had work, still had meetings, still had responsibilities, but something real had changed. He no longer used busyness as proof that he was alive. He no longer packed every corner of the day to avoid the one thing that mattered. He had his 90 minutes. He had his stone. He had his memory points. And he had begun to understand that slowing down was not falling behind. Sometimes it was the only way to actually enter his life. Years later, someone asked him what the most important truth about time management was. Jonah thought for a long while. Then he said, "It is not about filling the day. It is about refusing to turn today into a bridge to some future that never arrives." This is Otherworld Radio. Real freedom with time is not suddenly having more hours. It is finally refusing to trade today for a later that keeps moving away. When you place one true stone in the day, leave some space unfilled, and create a few new memories on purpose, you begin to stop being a slave of time and become your own traveler again.